Hi, my name is Carrie, and this is Milena and Louie, and today we're going to be talking about the topic of donors. So one of the most common questions we're asked is, how do we select a donor to create Olivia? First major key decision was, do we use someone we know or do we use a sperm bank? And we used a sperm bank.
Yeah. So I called a lot of different sperm banks, and when we found one that we trusted and one that where they explained to me their procedure, their prices, how they choose their donors, all that different stuff, we ended up going with one where I kind of built a relationship with one of the people there, and they were super friendly and super helpful, and they answered all these weird questions that I had. And once we found the sperm bank we wanted to go with, our next big decision was choosing between an anonymous donor or a known donor.
So when we say known donor, that would mean that, at least in the case of our sperm bank that we chose, the child, when the child turns 18, can contact the donor. An anonymous donor means the child cannot contact the donor, and neither way can the donor contact the child. So we initially, right off the bat, decided that we definitely wanted an anonymous donor. For us, we just thought we don't want anyone to think he has some sort of claim over our child. We did a ton of research into the sperm bank. We did a ton of research into every part of the process.
Known donors, anonymous donors.
We talked to other couples who've been through it, and then we spoke about it a lot over the next several weeks, and it actually came out that the reason that we were so adamant on having an anonymous donor was actually for the wrong reason. It wasn't anything to do with our future child. It was based on our fears and insecurities, maybe my fear and insecurity as a non-biological parent. And so when we really thought about it more, we decided maybe a known donor was more appropriate because, you know, I just thought, gosh, I would hate to take that decision away from my child before he or she's even born, 19 years from now.
And it's a decision they're going to make when they're adults.
Right.
So
it's not really our decision to make.
It wasn't really our decision to make.
So we decided to go that our preference was a known donor.
Then we spoke to some of our friends that have been going through the process before us, and they actually didn't filter by anonymous or known. They just decided to look through the catalog, and whatever person spoke to them, no matter if they were anonymous or known, that would be the person that they ended up with. And we thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Also, because the sperm bank we ended up with wasn't one of the biggest, so the amount of donors were already limited, especially when you filter by. We wanted to have Carrie's features.
Yeah, so Milena's carrying, so I would have no biological tie. We decided to go with an IUI, which means that Milena was carrying and it was her egg. So I would have no biological tie with the child, so we wanted to choose a donor that had my physical features. Personality wasn't so quite as important to us just because we feel like that's more environmental.
Yeah.
But obviously, physical features and intelligence and stuff like that.
Medical history.
There's such high criteria to be
so
accepted as a donor. And when we say filter, I guess it's important to mention that because I know some sperm banks will select a donor for you. The non-carrying partner, if there is a non-carrying partner, will submit a childhood, submit a photo or whatever, and then the sperm bank will
They'll
choose
submit a
the donor.
photo of what they look like now, and then the sperm bank will choose a selection of donors. They won't just choose one. They'll choose a selection of donors and then send them to you.
Okay, so the sperm bank narrows it down.
Yeah, they narrow it down.
Okay.
So for us, we already narrowed it down by eye color, hair color, all that kind of stuff. And actually, Heritage, it ended up, we didn't filter by that. Yeah, a lot of different sperm banks have different deals, so we had access to the full catalog for about 3 months for $50, whatever.
Did we get the sperm on sale? I didn't know it was a deal.
No, but they do have deals. They have like Black Friday deals.
No, they did not.
They do have those kind of deals. We just didn't, we didn't buy sperm on Black Friday because we
That's
just,
so cool.
I don't know. But I know that they have like, if you buy storage for 2 years,
Oh, yeah,
then you
yeah,
get it,
yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
And buy in bulk or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I think.
yeah, I don't know. But actually, so yeah, they had this deal where that's so nasty. We sat down one night with a glass of wine and decided to just look through them real quick.
We kind of made it special. We kind
yeah,
of
we
made
made it
it.
special,
We
yeah.
didn't think that we were gonna sit down and choose.
We thought it was going to
the
be a
beginning of
long
it.
process, and we were just going to kind of look through it now. And
But it
and
was
that kind
like
of stuff.
also just like a little bit of a weird process to
Oh,
embark
yeah.
on, because here you're about to choose the other biological half of your child. You're choosing some
And it's
stranger to be such a big
it's
part of
making it
conceiving.
so, like, you're so aware that you're choosing, like, that you can't choose each other. Like, we
Yeah.
can't have that together.
For me, I got to, I knew that our child was gonna look somewhat like my wife that I'm in love with, but
You
for
didn't
her,
think she was going to look just like
she
me.
actually looks exactly like her. It's so crazy. Like if
She's
you put a
a little
childhood
baby.
picture of you up next to her,
It's
this
just
is
a
so
little
cute.
copy of me. So for the donor, you get a medical history back to their grandparents, sometimes their great-grandparents. You get an essay, questionnaire, a third-party impression,
Mhm.
and then in our sperm bank, we got an audio interview.
Which was the coolest.
Which is really, really nice, and a childhood photo. So we started off with the audio interviews just because you can tell a lot about a person from listening to them speak. And a few guys we definitely vetoed before we even read anything else about
They
them.
just kind of treated it like the dating game.
Yeah, they were like,
The
choose
game
me
show.
because I'm the best of the best. And so we were already like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
We were listening to audio interviews, and of course, like Melanie and I are complete opposites, so we both approached this in different ways. I had a notebook, and I was writing out pros and cons of every donor and all this stuff, and Melania was just like
I had wine.
sipping her wine and like whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're ever gonna decide. Da, 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 da. So we were in our condo, we weren't here, but same couch, right? And
No,
no, different couch, but whatever. Same and out of
it
it.
doesn't matter about the couch.
But I'm painting the picture.
Okay.
Okay. So Louis can be the computer. So the computer was here, Melania was sitting on the floor, and I was sitting up here. So we were both looking over each other's shoulder, but we couldn't see each other's faces. And we're like, listen to the next audio interview. And at the end of it, Melania looked up at me, and I was looking down at her, and we both had tears in our eyes.
We had heard so many different guys where we were like, this would work for us, but we didn't know what it would feel like when we
Yeah.
found the one.
When we first started looking through
That
them,
we
it
wanted.
was like we were never gonna. How are we ever gonna decide? This is
How are we
so
gonna
weird.
choose
Like
between these
there's so
people?
many
Like,
that
who
will
would
do.
be the right one? Yeah.
Like there's so many that were perfectly fine, and for us, like look, you wanted a sign. You had asked for a sign.
Oh yeah.
That's how we work.
Yeah.
And for us, it really happened. We just got, instead of making a decision with our minds, we just got this gut feeling, and we
Yeah.
both got it, and it was just so perfect. So he actually is an anonymous donor, and he was asked by the interviewer, why are you an anonymous donor?
He said something about how he wouldn't have an issue with the offspring contacting him, but he knew the process that we have to go through to conceive our child. He couldn't even imagine how much love we already have for this child. He said,
something along the lines of, I don't really see what my role would be other
Yeah.
than what I'm doing right now, and I'm
like,
helping them to
I
make
have
this child,
full
but
faith in,
that's what he said.
yeah, I have full faith in you being great parents because you have so much love since you're going through this process.
Yeah, since you're going to such lengths to conceive.
It made it okay
Yeah.
because in the future we can show Olivia when she's asked, if she's asking, she will always definitely
I mean, in
always
her baby
know.
book, she has pictures of like our fertility doctor
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And for the next one, we want her to be a part of it. We want her
for
to
the next baby,
to
she'll be a part of the
understand
process.
because it's so like we were always talking how do we explain this to her.
Yeah.
And then we thought, okay, well, for the next one, why don't we just bring her along and it'll
Yeah.
kind of explain it all.
And then for the younger
Okay.
one, he or she will have the big sister to So it kind of works
So
out
we
really
kind of
good.
like push the responsibility
You
of
deal with it a
telling
little
this
bit, yeah.
on our daughter.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, it's just like it's definitely going to be something that we're not ashamed or weirded out of showing her, because it's just like, and I hope that she'll get peace to, you know, like this is just a really, and that's exactly how we're going to explain it to her. Like a really nice man donated something that we needed to make you, not something, obviously we'll explain donated sperm, but you know what I'm saying, like it's just a really nice man that made this donation to make it possible for moms to bring you into this world and to conceive you. So and it's really cool.
Super thankful for people like him.
Yeah.
And definitely that's always going to be, like, I want her to always know that we are so happy for this person.
Yeah. Thanks for watching our story. Click on the next video if you want to see other people's stories that I'm sharing. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. What? Subscribe. Subscribe to our channel with silly videos.